on the following items at the special town council meeting on Thursday, November 13th, 2025, in council chambers, Sparta Township Municipal Building, 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and press on October 31st, 2025, by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of the notice. All council meetings are now live streamed and can be viewed at the following link, www.youtube.com/SpartaTWP/streams. We had an executive session, was opened at 6 and now has now been closed. And Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Councilman Scott.
Here.
Councilman Blumetti.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. Here's where I always get confused. Do I need to read the resolution again? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, let's salute the flag, but before we do so, let's have a moment of silence. Sparta lost a very valuable member, and William Pop Askin this week. He's such a very valuable member of our community. He will be sorely missed by all of us, most of all his family. Just a moment of silence for William C. Askin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business are minutes. Some of these minutes are for 2024, so that means that Councilman Scott and Deputy Mayor Murphy should abstain from those as they were not on council at the time. So first, may I have a motion to approve the August 27th, 2024 executive meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second, please? I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so we have 2 ayes and 2 abstentions for the executive meeting minutes dated August 27th, 2024. Next up is another 2024. May I have a motion to approve the September 10th, 2024 executive meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
And I will second them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have 2 ayes, 2 abstentions for the September 10th, 2024 executive meeting minutes. And we have yet another 2024 executive session minutes. May I have a motion to approve the October 8th, 2024 executive meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
And I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have 2 ayes and 2 abstentions for the October 8th, 2024 executive session meeting minutes. Another 2024. May I have a motion to approve the November 26th, 2024 executive meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
And I will second them. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have 2 ayes and 2 abstentions for the November 26, 2024 executive session meeting minutes. And now we are finally up to 2025, and these are regular meetings, so these, you guys can vote on these. May I have a motion to approve the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in, okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to have 2 edits to this.
Okay.
They are under unfinished new business on page 13. And this was some comments I was sharing around the planning board and professionals and billing strategy and design standards, just to match what was stated during the meeting. The first one is in sentence 1. There's only 2 sentences. Sentence 1, in between the words concerning and professional staff, to please add the words the billing strategy and practices of. So therefore, the sentence 1, that component would be A lot of discussions on the planning board concerning the billing strategy and practices of professional staff. ... The second one is in sentence 2. There's 2 elements. One is instead of the word sign, it should be design, DESIGN. And then the rest of the sentence should read standards, comma, which should be part of the master plan subcommittee work. So altogether, sentence 2 would then read, he stated that too much focus was being placed on design standards, which should be part of the master plan subcommittee work. And I have the live stream notations of where these occurred too, in case someone wanted to go back and look.
Okay, so I think the procedure would be to make a motion to amend the September 9th, 2025, as read by Councilman Blumetti. So I'll make a motion to amend the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as read by Councilman Blumetti.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have, I didn't hear Councilman Scott.
Said aye.
Oh, okay, great. So the minutes have been amended, so now we have to, may I have a motion to approve the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as amended by Councilman Blumetti?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as amended by Councilman Blumetti's statements have passed. Right. Oh, we have the orders kind of September 23rd as well. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The minutes dated September 23rd, 2025 have been approved. And that does it for all the minutes. We are now up to the manager's report. Manager Zepp, may I have the manager's report?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor, council members, Sparta residents, whether you're here in person or joining us online. As autumn settles in, our Parks and Recreation teams have been busy with fall cleanups and preparing our facilities for winter. Recreation programs continue to be popular, and we're looking forward to winter session, with registration for residents opening on December 10th. If you're feeling festive, don't forget to sign up for our holiday home decorating contest by December 5th. And mark your calendars. Santa will be visiting Station Park on December 6th, arriving by fire truck at 1 p.m. Families can enjoy live entertainment, treats, and free digital photos with Santa while supporting the Sparta Community Food Pantry with donations. For our seniors, the last fall book swap will take place at the Senior Center on December 10th, and the annual holiday party is scheduled for December 30th from noon to 2:30. Registration is required, so please reserve your spot early. As a Sparta Public Library, we recently hosted a successful Coffee with a Cop event, strengthening ties between our community and local police. Despite some staffing and book supplier challenges, the library team is working hard to keep shelves stocked and programs running. October saw strong attendance and circulation, and our digital services continue to reach thousands of residents. Turning to our construction, our building department has issued over 1,800 permits and completed 5,383 inspections so far this year. Activity remains steady, and we're pleased to report that new desks and computers have been installed, making it easier for staff to serve you. Special thanks to Joe and Dave for their excellent tech support. Our public works crews have been busy cleaning up after recent storms and have started installing holiday banners on our street lampposts. Leaf bag pickup is ongoing, so please check the town website for details. The water department has wrapped up hydrant flushing of the Highlands, Sunset Lake, and Lake Mohawk water systems. Great appreciation and acknowledgement goes out to our municipal clerk's office, who successfully oversaw a very busy election. With heavy voter turnouts, Roxanne and her staff kept things running smoothly. Thank you, Roxanne, Tyann, and Brittany. On behalf of the clerk's office, we also would like to recognize Brendan Feldman, Matt Molinaro, Joe Scalia, and Jean Donnelly for their outstanding support during the recent general election. Brendan in particular went above and beyond to ensure voting ran smoothly despite power issues, demonstrating exceptional dedication. Thanks to their efforts, we were able to provide a secure voting experience for our community. Finally, I want to thank everyone for your patience during ongoing sidewalk repair work along Main Street, and also the gas main work being completed by Elizabethtown Gas on Glen Road. We've expanded the sidewalk project along Main Street to address unsafe sidewalks and driveway ramps, which have lengthened the construction time. But work is coming to an end and is expected to be wrapped up by the holiday break. The night work related to the gas main work along Glen Road is scheduled to be completed by the end of next week. Both of these projects have caused inconvenience and delays. Good progress is being made on both. This concludes my report. I will now turn it over to Chief McCarrick.
Thank you, Manager Zepp. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Starting this weekend through the end of the year, there will be extra patrols to enforce intoxicated driving. While the holiday season is upon us, the police department would like to remind everybody to enjoy your holidays responsible by having a sober driver drive. The overtime for the extra patrols is funded through the Drunk Driving Enforcement Funds, which is awarded by the state. Just to compare some recent statistics from the police department on DWI arrests, I took years 22, 23, 24, and 25 from January 1st to November 12th. For 2022, there were 58 DWI arrests. For 2023, there were 38 DWI arrests. 2024, there were 43 DWI arrests. And for 2025, 31 DWI arrests. A reminder, the annual Crow's Turkey Trot on Thanksgiving morning. Please expect delays in the area in the plaza. The plaza is expected to be closed at approximately 6:30 a.m. and will be reopened once our officers feel it is safe to do so, and it's usually around 11:30. As the Emergency Operations Coordinator, myself and Deputy Coordinator Thomas McIntyre have been updating the township's emergency operation plan. This requires working with many of the department heads amongst the township to ensure our plan is up to date with the required information. Our plan has been submitted to the county emergency operations, who will submit this to the state, and it should be good for 2 years. I would like to thank all of our professionals in the township who assisted with the planning, and a special thank you to my Deputy Coordinator Thomas McIntyre for his efforts in the planning. On Sunday, November 23rd, from 10 to 3 at the Stop and Shop, our officers will be hosting their annual Cram the Cruiser event to help support our local county food pantry. So we encourage everybody to come out and donate as you can. It's always a good event. Last thing, as Manager Zepp mentioned, the traffic in front of Main Street. I'd like to send a real sincere thank you to my officers that are out there. We have officers working, some of them 7 days a week, assisting with the traffic on Main Street during the day, Glen Road at night. There's a lot going on. They're doing their best to get everybody in and out through Main Street, in and out of the businesses, and they just want to keep it safe for everybody, and appreciate what they're doing, because the weather's not great out there. They are cold, but they're doing a great job. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And I'd like to thank you, Chief, for collecting for the food pantry, the Sparta Community Food Pantry, for hanging with the heroes. We really, really appreciated it.
Absolutely.
All right, may I have a motion to accept the manager's report?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The manager's report has been approved. We're now up to our open to the public session. I did forget to say, I want to welcome Councilman-elect Mr. Sylvester. Congratulations. We look forward to working with you. As folks know, we have to wait till the election is actually certified to get appointed. That hasn't happened yet. But congratulations to you, and I thought you and former councilman ran a very good campaign, and so you're both of you to be commended on that. Yep. Okay, we're up to our first public comment section, and this is limited to items that are not on the agenda. So if you look on the agenda and you see something you want to talk about, now's not the time. So I know we have folks here because we have 2 hearings on ordinances. There will be an opportunity during the hearing for the ordinance to comment on the ordinance. If you're here to talk about resolutions, that's also has to wait to the second comment period. So again, this is for items that are not on the agenda. So if you would, please come forward and state your name, and please be mindful of the 5-minute limit.
Hi, Jenny Derrick, Stefan to Sparta. I just have two questions. I normally would wait to the end, but who knows how long this is going to go. First of all, the question that was on the ballot, the cannabis question, voters decisively by an almost 2-to-1 margin said no to retail cannabis in Sparta. Do you plan to uphold the will of the voters?
Well, I think that is we are looking at that issue. In light of that, I think, just speaking for myself, I think I said that that would be a factor going into future things. There is a lot of legal issues with respect to that, that are ongoing investigation into those legal issues. So at this time, I can't give you a definitive answer, and my answer, for at least for me, remains the same, which is that is a factor going into the analysis for sure.
Can you just, I'll go to the next, well, can you just say what some of those legal issues are?
I would advise that we would not disclose legal issues, and that's attorney-client privilege stuff that we're still ongoing.
Have there been any applications made to the town for opening a retail
I'm not
cannabis
aware of any.
business? Roxanne?
No, there's no applications.
Thank you, Roxanne. And then the other one, Mr. Zepp, my usual question, how are we doing with the brownfield?
Getting closer. I see Doug's here. He's helping me with the parcel transfer. We're getting closer on getting the transfers done with the Green Acres program, and from that point, I'm waiting to get the formal approval to start the mitigation of the wetlands. But it's a slow process, but we're getting there.
Can you just explain where is the land that Sparta is donating to the state, the land swap, which is a familiar term at this point, is it going also to the New Jersey Land Trust, or is it going to I'm just speaking about the landfill swap. Is that going to the New Jersey Land Trust, or is it going to another state entity?
I believe it's going to the Green Acres.
Green Acres, okay. Because at the meeting last week, it was stated that a parcel of land that is contiguous to the land that's being discussed for the trail will also be donated under this initiative, the land use initiative, the landfill initiative, and that will also be going to the land trust.
I'm not familiar with that at all, of being that way. The 5 parcels that I'm familiar with that have
Okay.
been recognized by the Mitigation Council will all be going to the Green Acres.
Green Acres. And do we have the same confidence in Green Acres that we apparently have for the New Jersey Land Trust? Has that been explored? Do we have tight deed restrictions attached to these parcels before they get conveyed? And will the community have a chance to see these deed restrictions, as has been stated for the other initiative?
Right. I believe in order to make the parcels eligible, they had to be encumbrance-free of any type of really restrictions. Some of those properties, though, did have open space possibly on them. I'd have to look at them and get back to you on what those are. We were just happy that the Wetlands Council considered it. So I can look into that. As far as confidence, it sounds very subjective to me.
So we're giving these lands to the state, and we don't know for sure. And you're saying now that we're not allowed to tell them that they can't log, drain, build.
I didn't say any of that.
You said the lands can't be encumbered.
Well, to be eligible for a donation to the Green Acres program, right?
Are we
Some
not
of them-
allowed to put deed restrictions on those parcels before transfer?
No, in order for them to be eligible, some of them had encumbrances that wouldn't allow us to donate them. So we had to make sure that they were eligible to be donated properties. I remember, because we had to look at a bunch of different parcels that we had owned. So we had to make sure of that. So it's a little bit of confusion on terms.
But they will be protected as far as before
Yes.
before the township conveys
Yes.
them to the state. We will have deed restrictions placed on them to eliminate or hope
Yes,
to
yes.
mitigate?
I will make sure of that. I'm sure the council will make sure that I make sure of that. So, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can the council see it before any signatures or anything gets conveyed?
Sure.
Yeah.
I have all the information for you.
Okay, great.
And just a little
Thanks.
bit about Green Acres. I understand the concern. I know we've had, on the reverse side, we've had concerns about, with respect to Green Acres funding, that you have to inventory everything that you have. And the issue with that was Green Acres is so strict with their requirements that if you wanted to, say, put a path by Ungerman Field, you would have to get approval from Green Acres to make sure you weren't increasing impervious and, other things. So they're very stringent. So my point in saying that is conveying it to Green Acres, I think, gives it a more protection than it otherwise would have. But I understand the concern, and we'll do that. But I want to make clear that, Green Acres is a separate entity from New Jersey Fish and Wildlife, separate entity from New Jersey Land Trust, but they're under similar kind of restrictions based on their mission, what they can do about land that's conveyed to them. So I just thought that would be pertinent to the discussion. Does anyone else have a public comment for items not on the agenda?
Good evening, Ron Day, 22 Fox Hollow, Sparta. I just want to make some comments as we're closing out the 2025 year and going into 2026, and just talk about the budget process and what we've seen and where I'd like to suggest we go. Over the past few meetings, there's been a lot of discussions on many issues, too many to list, and you guys are doing a great job and giving us the ability to comment and have the discussion, so that's much appreciated. Personally speaking, one of my main concerns as a Sparta resident remains keeping municipal taxes affordable. I haven't heard much discussion about that in the past meetings. We talk about specific new programs, but how does that relate to the overall budget? I haven't really heard that as part of the discussion. One of the master plan's top objectives since 1984 is to maintain a sound fiscal balance. So what does that mean? What does that mean to me? And I guess in a quick, less than 5-minute summary, it means making sure we have realistic budgets, which include the revenues and expenditures, with a set aside of sufficient reserves to cover any unplanned, unanticipated costs. And if we don't do that properly, it could result in a decline in services that nobody, including everyone sitting up there, really would like to see. So hopefully, as we go through the 2026 budget process, we're not going to see those challenges. But my gut feel is, based on the numbers I've looked at, analysis I've done, is there going to be challenges that need to be addressed. So I would hope that with 2025 coming to an end in only a few weeks, that we're able to forecast with a high degree of probability on where we're going to end up in 2025 from a budget perspective. In particular, I'm looking at what are the reserves going to look like that we can move into 2026. Manager Zepp, I'd welcome your preliminary assessment at a December Town Council meeting. And Town Council members, I'd welcome your encouragement that the public be given this information at a December meeting. And I think the value of that is, as we start talking about some of the new initiatives, some of the new appropriations, we know how it all fits together. We're not looking at just a specific data point. So I think that's an important thing, and I'd like you to consider that. Circling back to the last time I commented at a Town Council meeting, we had the potential to substantially grow the reserve by about $3 million. And where that $3 million was in a category called unplanned or reserved for uncollected taxes. And at that time, during that meeting, none of that money was appropriated to anything. It wasn't appropriated, so it really was sitting there as I won't say low-hanging fruit, but the availability to take that money, hold it aside, not appropriate anything new against it, and use that to help build the reserves in 2026. So hopefully, as we get into 2026, we're going to see a good portion of that money going into reserves accounts as we put together the 2026 budget. I think 2026 is going to be a concern. Jim, I believe you've had similar concerns, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize if I am. I'm sure that you, Dawn, and your teams are looking at it closely, but again, I am very concerned for 2026. So I'm going to ask again that more financial information be included in the manager's report. Prior councils used to include attendance by both the town council manager and the CFO, which gave us the ability to get a better feel for what's going on at any point in time in the budget process. How we doing? You know, not getting into the details, but just a high-level 50,000-foot view. Are we on track? Are we going to be able to have the reserves that we need, that are necessary to protect us against some unforeseen things? So that's my thoughts. You know, what I'd like to do is just get your thoughts as town council members, and Jim, maybe your thoughts as financial, as the town manager. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you think I'm off base, just to get some quick thoughts.
I'm going to defer to, because you are
Ron,
under the
I
current
believe
budget
you're spot
process.
on. I think you have valid concerns. I have valid concerns. The budget isn't linear. It's dynamic. It breathes. It flexes. Recently, I informed the council that the biggest hit that the budget takes right now is health insurance. Everybody knows the big hit on health insurance. The
And these are things you can't
State
control.
health insurance went up 30%, all right? We belong to a joint health insurance fund, employment health fund. This year, our health insurance rates went up 19.5%.
So my time's up, so I'll pick it up at the next go-around. But the question to think about is, okay, so having that data, how are we managing to make sure we can afford it without having to cut, necessary services? Okay, thanks, and I'll see you at the next
you,
public
Ron.
session.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have a couple comments just from my own perspective. I'm not the CFO, obviously. I looked into this a month ago, and I know Ron and others have heard this before, that from 2018 to 2023, I see that there was an overuse of surplus, right, for 6 years to keep the budget almost flat, artificially low, and that overusing the surplus takes a toll, right? Thinking there's going to be flat taxes every single year when there's inflation is unrealistic, right?
I
It's like your own checking account,
Well-
savings account. I don't have a dialogue. We'll do that later.
Yeah.
So corrective action was taken in 2024 and 2025. When I looked a month ago, the surplus, there's been a lot of misinformation out there. It's not in the single thousands, not in 10,000s, not in 100,000s. From what I saw, the surplus, don't quote me because it's a month ago and I'm not CFO, it's in the multiple millions of dollars by the end of the year. So we're not, just to get everybody facts here, maybe 4 or 5. There's going to be, we're not down to zero. So everyone should not be alarmed that much by some of the things I'm seeing, hearing out there. We are still AA bond rated. So just to share my own personal view, again, we'll have much more current data when we get through the next few months. But just so, that's what I looked into about a month ago or so. So just to kind of set the stage a little bit that we are trending that way. And we do think of the things you mentioned in terms of planning for next year. We're aware of them already. We see them coming. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments, I appreciate it, and we'll talk more at the next public session. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, any other member of the public wishing to be heard on items not on the agenda? All right, seeing no one, we will move on to the expenditures. Deputy Mayor Murphy, would you please read the expenditures of October 28th, 2025?
The expenditures for October are $5,921,603.48.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the expenditures for October 28th, 2025?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The expenditures for October 28th, 2025 have been approved. Deputy Mayor Murphy, would you please read the expenditures for November 13th, 2025?
The expenditures for November 13th, 2025 are $7,298,244.56.
May I have a motion to approve the expenditures for November 13th, 2025?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The expenditures for November 13th, 2025 have been approved. We are now up to the introduction of an ordinance. With respect to introductions, as I've said before, it's simply to introduce. It's not time for the hearing. That will come at a later date. And so we don't entertain, comments and discussion with respect to the introduction. So Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of ordinance 2520?
Mayor, I know this is not protocol, but before you introduce this ordinance, I think you should consider tabling it until you have a full council. Also, I would like it to be strengthened, not weakened. And also, there are clerical errors in it. Specifically, I don't know who drafted it, but you start off, it says pursuant to NJSA 54:4. It really should read, you should use the universal citation, which is New Jersey Revised Statutes, Title 54, Taxation, Section 54:4-3.30, Disabled Veterans Exemption. That's the universal citation. It's not the revised, or it's not the NJSA. Also, you wordsmithing this. You're taking out words that are in it. When you say pursuant to, that means you pay attention to how it's written in a state. The very first whereas, the dwelling house and a lot whereon the same is erected. That's not how the state reads it. It says the dwelling house and the lot or curtilage whereon the same is erected. So you got to use the proper legal terms. You can't go around wordsmithing. There's also,
Councilmember, I've given you a fair amount of latitude.
wait,
Yeah,
no,
I
there's
think,
more
as you
corrections
know,
here that you need
the-
to pay attention to.
Well, I-
One of them is
Mayor, I
subparagraph
would call
1.
a point of order.
Yeah.
This commentary from the public is not in order, and I ask that it be adhered, the point of order needs to be adhered to. The clerk hasn't read the ordinance yet. We should follow the decorum and the rule of order.
All right, read the ordinance and then I'll correct the rest of it.
Well, I think, I'll take guidance from both the clerk and the attorney. I mean, I don't want to get us down the road of doing exactly what we tried not to do, which was have a discussion on or I think we will recognize that former Mayor Murphy has a significant amount of changes that he would wish to make. Normally
Oh, not
that,
significant, just one more.
that usually is done during the course of the hearing and not at the introduction. So I don't want to, I want to follow the process that has been advised to us. So
Advice, wait a minute, why even introduce an ordinance if it's not correct?
well, that's your position, sir.
No, well, I'm
But
just going by the way the state
And the time to
statute.
articulate that position, as you well know, is at the hearing, not at the introduction. And
Well,
so,
go ahead and introduce it. I'm just going to add one more item. You have no mention of a surviving spouse in this. Now, who are you trying to screw? The veterans or the veterans' spouses?
okay.
You need to address this. You need to
So
look
Madam
at,
Clerk, could you please
Very.
read the title of ordinance 2520?
An ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 11, Taxation and Revenue of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Sparta, amending Section 2-62, 100% disabled veteran tax refunds.
Okay, may I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2520?
So moved.
May I have a second, please? So seeing that go ahead.
I think if a comment needs to be made or something needs to be changed, we do it at the time of the hearing, correct?
Correct.
And can you give us a brief what we are doing? And if this needs to be changed, we can do so, but what this actually does and why we're doing it?
Sure.
Should we vote, please?
Sure. The ordinance, Sparta has always followed the state law that has an ordinance that provides for a benefit to veterans who are certified to be fully disabled by the Veterans Association. Sparta has historically provided for that property tax exemption at the time of application following the certification via the Veterans Association. And previously, there was a look-back period of 2 years or 24 months where a retroactive property tax could be applied for and credited to a veteran who otherwise qualified. This ordinance, in line with many municipalities, the predominant number of municipalities in the state of New Jersey, will simply still follow the state statute, but will, within the authority provided to the council, start the property tax exemption at the time the application is provided to the tax assessor, the tax collector. And at that time, the application with the certification from the Veterans Association would allow for that exemption to go forward.
And if the veteran had not yet applied to the VA 2 years prior to, and then like 2 years prior, and then had become 100% disabled and was effectuated, and then they applied to the town. But if we do a look back 2 years, they had not been approved yet by the VA, correct? And that's
Right.
what
The
we're
current,
correcting.
The current ordinance, as with all towns in New Jersey, now predominant towns, there may be one or two here or there, allows for a veteran who is qualified to make application from after he or she receives certification from the Veterans Association, to then make application to the township tax collector. Upon receipt and validation of the certification, he or she will be permitted to have the property tax exemption going forward. And to the extent that there has been a payment for the quarter, there will be a proration for the quarter that has already been paid, and that will be refunded.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but I think, well, we don't have a second. And so in light of not having a second, and also is there my understanding is we have 2 more meetings left. We have the 25th, and then we have 2 weeks after that.
December 9th.
December 9th. Would this put the township in any kind of straits or anything if we were to table this to have it introduced on November 25th, so that then former Mayor Murphy could write out what he expressed in comment and give that to us, and we could take that into account into what we introduce on the 25th?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I think Jerry
So-
could help us out.
Since we only had we only have a first and not a second, I think that the ordinance is not introduced, and what I would do is make a motion to table this ordinance 2520 until November 25th, at which time it will be introduced. And I would advise Mr. Murphy or anyone else, please send your comments to us, and we can take those into account. And so when it's introduced, hopefully, there won't be the necessity to come to and give a public comment during the introduction. So is that suitable?
I'll second.
Okay. So the motion is to table ordinance 2520 for introduction on November 25th.
Could I just add Pete Litchfield, 120 Conestoga
Let
Trail?
us do a vote, Mr. Litchfield. We
Okay.
just did a motion. We should do
Yeah.
a vote, right?
Sure.
I could
So
do a roll call. I could do roll call.
Okay, So we have a first and a second, and Madam Clerk, when we have a roll call, it's a motion to table ordinance 2520 for introduction on November 25th.
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. So ordinance 2520 has been tabled. We do intend to introduce that because, again, to fit this in the calendar year of 2025, we need to get it introduced on the 25th and then hopefully approved on the 9th. And at that time, I would encourage former Councilman Murphy to write us to what he thinks the changes should be. And Mr. Litchfield, whatever comments you have, please let us know.
Once you make all your changes, could you please get them to me? I've been talking to our council with the New Jersey State VFW. They would like to see a copy of it. And I'd like to give them sufficient time to be able to join us at the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so 2520 has been tabled. We are now up to the hearing of ordinances. Now, at the hearing, I will signal when it's time for the public to comment. Madam Clerk, would you please read title of ordinance 2517?
An ordinance of the Township of Sparta, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, establishing an advisory beautification committee within the township.
Okay, I will open it to public comment related to 2517, again, which is the ordinance of the Township of Sparta to establish a advisory beautification committee within the township. Any member of the public wishing to be heard? Okay, I'll take it back to council for discussion or comments. Okay, this is just following up on what I introduced a few weeks ago, seeing the progress that had been done in White Deer Plaza, and I thought it was a good idea to extend that. So this beautification committee would be dealing with beautification in and around Main Street, and so I think it's a very good idea. It will be really within the ambit of the committee members to come up with ideas and funding, et cetera. Hopefully this will pass tonight, and we'll get folks from the public who wish to, and I've already gotten some emails about people who are interested in this. Hopefully this is something that our residents can take pride in, and you can really have a real impact, and you'll actually get to see the fruits of your labor when you drive down Main Street of all the work that you've done. So I look forward to hopefully this passing tonight, and we can have they can do as good a job on Main Street as they've done in White Deer Plaza. All right, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2517?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Can we talk about how we're going to fund this?
Sure. So part of it is we've already gotten, unlike almost every single advisory committee that we have, we already have a pledge. I don't know the exact dollar amount yet, but one of our businesses has agreed to give some seed money to that. There's also, part of what their job will be to find grant funding for this. And this is what I tell most all of my advisory committees, trails, film, this one in particular, that the goal is to, one, do not burden the township on financial resources nor man or person power. Take it upon yourself, try to do it yourself so we can, this is, I think, a particular committee. The folks that have done the work with White Deer Plaza have done very good. I know I've had a discussion with the Vernon mayor. They do the same thing in Vernon, and they were able to get planters donated. They use it where a particular business can sponsor the planter, and so that's a form of like advertisement. So they're more than willing to donate the money to get the planter and get flowers in it. So it's a real way that we can hopefully have no net cost to the township.
Plus, I'll add too that we have grant writers and a grant company that we use for lots of other grant opportunities across the broad spectrum of topics. So that's also something that this committee can use, look for grants.
Okay. Any other council have any discussion, questions, or comments on ordinance 2518? 17, sorry.
17. Is it mandatory that we have 9 people on the committee?
No, I think we just built that number. It's not mandatory. We can have more, we can have less. I think, right now we have to see what applications come in yet. I can tell you, I don't think we have 9 applicants yet, so. And
Okay.
besides, everyone follows the Peter principle, which is, 20% of the people do 80% of the work anyway. So we could probably have 2 people and this would still get done. But anyway, that aside, so any other comments or questions with respect to 2517? All right.
No.
All right, may I have a roll call vote?
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mayor Scott. I mean,
Mayor Clark.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
I
You're ahead of
apologize.
yourself.
All right, excellent. So ordinance 2517 has passed. We now have a beautification committee in Sparta to follow other towns like Vernon and I think Denville, a few others. So I look forward to seeing, it's already looks beautiful now. Thank you, Manager Zepp, for all the work and that the police are doing to help the improvements there. All right, next up, Madam Clerk, could you please read the title of ordinance 2518?
An ordinance appropriating the total sum of $90,000 from general capital fund balance for funding, digitizing, and archiving paper files or purposes by the Township of Sparta in the County of Sussex, New Jersey.
Okay, so we're now at the public comment related to ordinance 2518, which is an ordinance appropriating the total sum of $90,000 from general capital fund balance for funding, digitizing, and archiving paper files for Sparta. Any member of the public wishing to be heard on this particular ordinance?
Hi, Beth Broderick, North Shore. How does this affect Oprah requests? Because I submitted one for traffic with a traffic committee and a subcommittee through the planning board and the county and possibly Lake Mohawk. So if you're archiving the documents, does that mean that people putting in over requests for stuff from like 2020, 2021, or a little bit before, does that mean we can't get our stuff? Is it going to go?
It actually means you might get it faster.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yes, I can't get my stuff, or
No,
potentially I get it
can't?
Might get it
faster.
faster.
You could get it faster, more efficiently, once we take all the paper files that we have and we digitize them and allow them to be queried much faster through computers. Yes, we would be able to respond to your Oprah requests much faster. That's one of the advantages to doing this.
So there's not going to be like a cutoff of, oh, no, sorry, we're only like 10 years before or whatever. Like, what's the cutoff on that? Because I'm looking at stuff from like 20-something years ago.
It's going to take a while to digitize all the files we have.
So I'm not going
I can't give you a
Sorry, Roxanne, I'm not
time.
after you, I promise.
But this is the first step in the right direction to making it easier on everybody. When we digitize the files, we have the whole advantage of computerization and being able to query and look up information much faster rather than going to paper files.
Okay, thanks.
Rob Otto, also North Shore Trail. So just to expound on that and clarify, so the 90,000 figure, so you can't really say, it's just establishing the system. It's not like this is going to be 10 years, the past 10 years. This is just kind of backfilling procedure for digitization and capturing metadata related to for future searches to improve Roxanne's process for like Beth's concern, like Oprah. It's the first step. So there might be more follow-up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is, honestly, it's a practical matter, is I don't have space to put the files. All right, and what happens is now I have a new IT group who have really helped us out, taking us to the next level of technology by digitizing it. And this money, as we said, this is a balanced money from the prior capital improvements, right? So this isn't new debt or anything. We're using leftover money from other capital projects to fund this. And what it does is it frees up storage space, it makes research easier, speed up Oprah request processing, enhances disaster recovery, improves document security facilitates compliance with retention schedules and regulatory requirements, and enables future integration with other township systems like the SDL and the admin systems and whatnot. And so we're just starting it. 90,000 is going to do right now most of our legal files. That's where I've started this. And then we'll move on to the clerk files, planning and zoning. We'll move on to the other departments. And it'll be an ongoing process. It's funny, since we introduced this ordinance, I've been inundated with email from all these archiving companies who who want to get a piece of this. But we have a company who's already given us a very good proposal. They're on state contract. They've been well vetted, and I'm looking forward to doing this. And ultimately, it will benefit the public and the staff.
So just the 90,000, not to belabor it, but the 90,000 is not specific to a certain cache of legal documents that you might be in receipt of. It's just, this is the first step in line with many other municipalities, many other county record-keeping best practices, right?
That sounds accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Jenny Derrick's tapping to Sparta. What is the name of the group that you're contracting?
Fovionics?
I'm sorry?
Fovionics.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Foveonics.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, what are they? They're archivists?
Yes, they're a digitization company. They're on the ECNJ co-op.
How long do you anticipate this taking?
198 banker boxes. It'll take a few months, I'm sure.
And will this allow these documents to be searchable by the community? Will they be publicly able to be searched?
Once it's cleared through legal,
We
because
used
they
to
are
have
legal
a,
documents, so I'll have to clear it through legal.
we used to have quite a robust search feature on the website until it got updated, where you could search a keyword and get back all the way into the 1990s, 80s, 70s, and that went away. So is that something that you're looking to bring back?
We could look into that. I mean,
it was
we're
there
open
before.
to this. Again, as Rob had indicated, this is the first step. We could definitely look into a search feature for the public on that. I'm curious, though, how redaction and all gets handled through it, but we could look into that.
Thank you.
Wow, who knew digitization had so much popularity?
Hey, folks, Ron Day again. So when I look at this effort, to me, it sounds more like an expense than a capital expenditure in terms of, I think capital, it's a tangible item. You depreciate over time. I'm not sure how you do that, but I'll defer to you guys, the experts, in terms of, is it the right answer? But looking at it, what I'm hearing is 90,000 now, more to come, we don't know. And that kind of goes back to where I started tonight. This is the first step of more. So when you look at the total effort, are we talking twice $90,000? Are we talking $500,000 to get all this done? What are we looking at here?
Pending budget funding, Ron, we have control of that, which is a good thing. And, we're going to start with the legal files that I don't have space to store right now. All right, we're going to store it, and we're going to experience the benefits of having that. If it really works, I'll recommend us moving on to the next department and storing those. And I'll be looking at the funding on how we're going to decide how to fund it. And we can do it in phases. It doesn't have, I don't have an exact number or cost on all that. I anticipate that this is going to work out well because there's a bunch of other towns who already use this company. They already are running the digitization with success. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I do benchmark a lot when we make purchasing decisions like that. So I'm pretty confident this is going to be a good thing, but we do have control of every time. We'll be here again, approving the next investment on digitization, and we can talk about that.
And I'm not trying to suggest that it's a bad idea because it's something that's needed. I totally get that. I guess if there's any questions I have is, number one, is it really a capital expense? And then number two is, can this wait till next year? Can we get a better handle on what we have? Again, I think 2025 is closing very tightly. Is it really necessary to do it now, or can we look at it maybe as part of the 2026 budget, do this and the next step together, and maybe you do more? It sounds like you're getting a lot of companies that showing interest. Maybe, I don't know where the 90,000 came from. I don't know if that was competitively bid or sole source, but maybe we can get a better price. So just some thoughts for you.
It's already been bid out. That's why it's on the co-op, the contract. So we already got the best price going on that. And this money's already been set aside. It was, believe it or not, it was leftover money from the salt barn shed,
From
right.
capital.
from
Yeah,
capital.
okay, so
All
that
right?
could,
And-
I'll leave
and-
that to you.
Right. And so it's already there. And believe it or not, I need the space.
Oh, I am not trying to say don't do it. I'm questioning, is it a capital expense?
Capital expense has a lot of parameters it has to adhere to, like, over a 5-year lifespan.
Okay.
Right? Does it have over a 5-year lifespan? Well, archiving the digital files, some would say yes, it does, and what it invests in. So I think it could be argued that it is a capital expense. And I think we have an opportunity that I really just don't want to pass up for the town and for the administration.
All right, again, you've got my thoughts. I'd rather see things like this deferred to 2026. Again, because, can this money, if we don't use it here, can it go into the reserves to carry into 2026, which is a number that, again, my concerns there. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, and I'll just say, as someone who has had to negotiate these type of contracts, when I was a younger lawyer, because in our cases, we have millions of pages of documents, and so we have to bid out to OCR them. I think what you're getting for 198 boxes, roughly 2,000 pages of documents per box, that's a lot of pages, and you're getting a pretty good deal. I know that, we're looking well into 6 figures in my cases for OCRing stuff. Now everyone produces electronically, don't have to worry that, but 20 years ago, we had, banker boxes, and so I think what you're getting is a decent price, and I can tell you, one thing more difficult to quantify is the savings in time and expense that our staff, we are a very lean staff, and having to go dig through boxes to find something takes a lot of time and effort. So I look forward to the day that we can get these things quickly, and to the extent that, attorney documents are a different category because they're still privileged even if the case is over. So we'd have to, the public obviously can't see attorney-client privilege stuff, but there's a way that I hope we can get this, particularly for our departments. I think this will be very good, particularly when it comes to prior approvals of business applications and things like that. I think there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained here. So I look forward to being able to do this for the rest of our departments. All right, any other public comment on 2518? Any other council comment on 2518?
Yeah, excuse me, Jim, I wanted to ask you if we could answer Mr. Day's question. If we don't use this $90,000 this year, how does that affect our next year? How does that affect the ability to tax next year or to recover that money? Or where would this money go?
The money's already been appropriated through your capital approval from actually, when did we approve the salt barn?
Okay,
It was
so,
already-
right,
it
it's
was
a
already-
couple years
right?
ago,
So
right.
what I've done is, as you know, a lot of that leftover money has been sitting in those lines.
Right.
And then the last council meeting, we canceled all that and
Right.
collected all that, and now that goes into a general fund, a capital general fund, all right? And then it'll be used to redistribute in the next capital program that we apply for. So I think it's a very wise way of spending some of it. I'm not spending all of it, just some of it. And I do have a space issue. I have 198 banker boxes right now that I need to find a place for. The mezzanine is a fire hazard, as I'm reminded several times. I don't have space to store the files unless we go back to renting space at the U storage up there off of White Lake. I just don't think that's a wise move. I think this is the best use of the money, and I think it opens doors for us to experience the benefits of digitizing files. I really do. I think this is a very wise, prudent investment by the council and the taxpayers
At this time.
at this time.
I would agree. I agree with Jim and our CFO as well. And I wasn't the biggest fan a couple years ago of the salt barn, so I know we allocated a lot of money towards it. And I'm glad to see there's a little bit left over, and I'm sure a lot of it is because of our township staff doing some of the work. I know that was happening over the last couple of years instead of billing out to another company. So to have a little bit left over to use for this, I think it's important that we get there from a document storage and security standpoint.
Okay, any other council with comments on 2518? All right, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2518?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so ordinance 2518 has passed. All right, Madam Clerk, we're now up to the final ordinance of the evening. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title of ordinance 2519?
An ordinance of the Township of Sparta, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, to ban smoke shops and vape shops as a principal permitted use in any zone district and to regulate, restrict the sale of cannabis-derived products within the township.
Okay, so we're now up to the public comment period for 2519. So if you have a public comment, please come forward to the microphone. Please be mindful of the 5-minute limit and limit your comments to ordinance 2519.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you very much. My name is David Gray, 2 Fieldstone Trail, Byram Township, New Jersey. Some of you may know me as an attorney, but tonight I come to speak to you as a patron and member of Casa del Tobacco, the local cigar shop here in Sparta Township. And the reason I'm speaking tonight, and the reason a couple dozen other friends of mine are here who are also patrons, and more are coming and more are watching at home, is because of our concern that somehow premium hand-rolled cigars got lumped in with your cannabis ordinance. And that's what our concern is. Casa del Tobacco, down at 37 Woodport Road here in Sparta. Our members are people like me. There's Sparta residents, doctors, lawyers, barbers, pharmacists, retired police officers, some elected officials from other towns, people from every walk of life. And we have one thing in common. After a long day, we like to enjoy our camaraderie over a premium hand-rolled cigar. Has nothing to do with cannabis, has nothing to do with smoking cigarettes. It's simply a hobby that we enjoy. And a couple of things, and I understand that not everybody knows a lot about premium hand-rolled cigars. They're just a little bit different. This one happens to be a $20 premium hand-rolled cigar. They say about 300 hands have went into making this cigar from seed through production. It's a work of art. It takes years of fermentation. They age like fine wine, and we enjoy them around our camaraderie and our friends. I will tell you that when we smoke these premium cigars, we do not inhale them. But if someone were to light up a cigarette or smoke a vape or a cannabis joint, we would throw them out of there. That would ruin our experience. That is not what we are about. This is not about cannabis. At Casa del Tobacco, they only sell premium hand-rolled cigars. There are no cigarettes sold. There are no vapes sold. There is no cannabis sold. There is no cannabis consumed at Casa del Tobacco. I respectfully suggest it might have been an oversight, but an inappropriate one to lump cigars in the same bucket as cannabis. I would go so far as to say it's arbitrary. And I would respectfully ask the council to simply consider clarifying whether either this business is grandfathered or, better yet, just remove cigars from the ordinance. Just take a look at the ordinance. understand, the people here voted, and I'm aware of the vote against cannabis, but they did not vote against premium hand-rolled cigars. So I respectfully suggest that that should be carved out and not put into the same bucket. So with that, I appreciate very much you listening to me. My friends may speak, they may not. But please understand, we've all been very concerned about this ordinance and how it would affect us, because we're not a group of gentlemen that like to go to the bars to hang out. It's a little bit different, perhaps a little bit more refined, but certainly a different type of hobby that we don't think should be lumped in with cannabis. Thank you very much.
Any other member of the public wishing to be heard on 2519?
Beth Broderick, still on North Shore. Where do mushrooms fit in this? Were they excluded? I thought the planning board addressed it. Does this take into account everything that the planning board discussed and covered and sent back to you guys?
It does not include a drug that is already prohibited by law, which would be psilocybin, which is what you're referring to. Am I right that there was the deed to include something that you couldn't have in the first place?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, and then to follow up on the cigars, they're already here. Wouldn't they be grandfathered in? He's right. It's totally different than cannabis. So I don't think that you should be hurting somebody that has a great following and has done something good for the community. So I don't think that you should be leaving him out, especially when tobacco is different than cannabis. So I'm just curious, wouldn't he be grandfathered in because he's existing before the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Mike Sylvester, 12 Dillon Drive. I think just to echo the previous comments, unless you could speak to it, I would request removing tobacco. I mean, it's kind of blended into the whole cannabis ordinance, and unless there was any specific reasons or that we could explain to the public, but as it reads now, I would recommend that gets stricken from the ordinance. And/or tabled for next meeting so I could get further updated understanding of, more of the details to accelerate
Yeah, I'll
the
have
rest
something
of
to
the
say
meeting.
about that when we get back
Right.
to council comments.
Thank
but
you,
I
Mike.
think the point is well taken.
Jenny Derrick's Tap into Sparta. What is the intention of this ordinance?
So I'll speak to that because it was originally my idea was to, unfortunately in Sparta, we had the experience that shops that sold products that were below the threshold for THC were also selling illegal cannabis.
Okay,
And
so,
so if I could finish, so therefore, this happened not once, not twice, 3 times in this township that we had a type of business that sold, THC below the threshold as they were allowed to, but what they were doing behind that was selling unlawful cannabis and distributing it. And so the thought was, well, we obviously don't want to have that happen. Unfortunately, this type of use, meaning a shop that sells THC products below a certain limit, have been a type of use in this township that has drawn people who want to sell cannabis illegally. So at least what I thought was, okay, if that's happening, then the simplest way to do that is to simply ban that type of use within the township.
okay, if I may, because my time is clicking away. When this idea of legal cannabis, which is different than marijuana, which is anything that's not legal, was brought up, the police said that they have no problem with the existing laws because they can already enforce, and they have made the arrest for 3 different businesses. My question about the intent was, if your intention is to regulate unlicensed products, which is what it sounds like the umbrella capture would be, that you're looking to regulate unlicensed products that could potentially be ingested for some type of mood altering or something along those lines. You're not going to get it by this ordinance. There are other products out there that do such things, such as the hemp-laced drinks, and the Kratom is now the newest thing, right, Chief? Kratom is now the newest thing, and there's going to be another new thing and another new thing. So it would seem that rather than putting a blanket on smoke shops, I understand that, and I've mentioned this before, that the smoke shop use would be a land use issue, that if you want to carve that out, that's one thing. And I'm not saying that's one way or the other, that that's a good or a bad thing. But then the actual issue that it seems, which is why I asked the question, what is the purpose of this ordinance? Is because if you're trying to get at the substances that are not regulated, but that do alter the cognitive abilities of people who ingest them, then this doesn't get it for you, because there are so many other things other than the THC. And you're not going to be able to go into the gas station, grocery stores that carry this stuff, because they're an established chain business. So you're not going to achieve the goal that you seem to be looking for.
Well, I think there may be a misunderstanding. Part of it
That's
was-
why I asked,
Yeah,
what's your
so
intention?
Part of it is, the intention is not focused on necessarily the substance, and I get your point, which is because under this, something whose principal place of business is, say, a convenience store, that convenience store can also sell tobacco-related products. The issue is, we don't have a problem with a Quick Check and a 7-Eleven selling cannabis out the back door. We do have that problem with respect to this type of use and the type of business like this. That was the intent, which is, unfortunately, this type of use where someone whose principal business is to sell these THC products, has then used that as a front to sell cannabis out the back door unlawfully. That was really the intent. It wasn't, because we can't stop the actual substance itself. The substance itself could still be sold at 7-Eleven. It could still be sold at
That's
Quick
why I'm
Check.
asking the question,
Yeah.
because the current ordinance clearly is sufficient, because we've had these businesses shut down under the ordinance that currently exists. So what is the purpose?
Well, I would disagree that that required a multi-year investigation, a lot of resources. So I don't think it's really a solution to say, well, we can just do another multi-year investigation. In my mind,
That's going on now with zoning enforcement all over town.
I understand that.
So the
We have
purpose.
limited resources and time in this township, and this is a particular problematic use. It's been proven over and over again. So we could say, well, we'll just wait till the next bad apple shows up in Sparta, and then spend a 2-year investigation involving God knows how many agencies. In my mind, that seems a rather inefficient way to handle this. A more efficient way to handle it is to not allow a type of use that's proven problematic in this township. So that was my thought process into why this particular use. Now, there are some very valid points that I think the gentleman made, and I think we should discuss that.
Rob Otto, North Shore Trail. Speaking as a private citizen, and I'm actually not going to comment on the smoke shops portion of it, but just on to Jenny's point, Kratom, I wouldn't say is the next new thing. It's been around for over 100 years. I'd be more concerned about THC isomers and stuff like that. So kind of to Jenny's point, I see what you're trying to do and I appreciate it, but I don't know if I would just urge you to look at, possibly decouple the tobacco and cannabis, as has been said, and then maybe there's a broader net you could cast. Because on the one hand, you said you don't want to address a certain substance because it's illegal, but then on the other hand, you're saying, well, our intent is to crack down on this type of shop because they're basically a portal for sales of an illegal substance or an unregulated or something they're not allowed to sell. So where are you drawing the line? I get what you're trying to do, but I would just urge you to maybe handle the cannabis thing separately and then address this other unregulated stuff in a separate ordinance respectfully. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public wishing to be heard on 2519? Not, I'll take it back to council for comments. I know Councilman Blumetti has a few.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So thanks. I think starting with the title of this, it's a misnomer. As its focus really, when you read it, is more about legal tobacco, cigars, and other legal products. So I do have a few comments on this. So I'm in favor of addressing the problems we faced in the past regarding illegal sales and gifting of prohibited cannabis products. Goes without saying. And we've seen the excellent work of our township police department and other jurisdictions earlier this year to crack down and address crime that was happening in a few cases. However, I have major issues with how this is written. First, it combines cigar shops with businesses that sell illegal THC products. The inclusion of legal and legitimate businesses that may offer legal tobacco products to our residents, such as the one that exists today in town, including that is unnecessary and overreach. The products and customers of that type of legitimate business have no relationship whatsoever, as we've heard before, to illegal smoke shops and those that might violate the law by distributing illegal products. It's a totally different market, it goes without saying. And additionally, cigar shops and cigar lounges in town are highly attractive and desirable to certain clientele and residents especially. To me, the ordinance reads as an attack on tobacco products. That's its primary objective. Listen, I'm by no means a heavy tobacco advocate, and I'm not a user. But with tobacco, it's the location where a tobacco product is smoked, where it's regulated, right, and where this restriction comes into play. Restaurants, public spaces. It's not the purchase of the legal tobacco, right, or a legal product. It's where and how you might use it. So why would we prohibit a resident from buying a cigar and smoking it either in a lounge or in his or her backyard, right? We don't stop someone from buying a beer and having it on their deck in their backyard. Why can't they consume it at home if they want? Second is the way this draft ordinance is written, it prohibits the sale of safe, legal CBD health and wellness products that are derived from hemp. And these products may contain, by law, legally, a minuscule trace amount of THC. Physicians sometimes recommend these to their patients. Legal CBD products can contain up to 0.3% THC. So that's less than 1/3 of 1% THC. Many of those are approved by the FDA. They're used by grandmothers, by athletes, by teachers. Some of them, and they're legal across America under the 2018 Farm Bill. So these are legal products. That low dose, that low trace element of THC does not have a psychotropic effect, meaning there's no intoxicating impact from it. In New Jersey, they're naturally derived as well. So these two elements in this ordinance, the cigar and tobacco and the CBD health and wellness products, which are both legal, are not necessary in order to achieve what's stated as a desired impact of this draft ordinance. If criminal activity occurs, let law enforcement handle the criminal activity. So, for example, silly example, you have a movie theater that sells popcorn. If someone on the side is gifting or selling little bags of crack, we're not going to ban movie theaters and ban popcorn. It's a law enforcement issue. We deal with it then and there. Prohibiting legal businesses and legitimate businesses from selling these products, whether they're cigars or the CBD health and wellness lotions and other products, simply based on some past examples over the last few years of criminals, alleged criminals in town, I think is misdirected and a little bit of overreach. So I think that while maybe the intent of this was to stop illegal activity, I think the way it's written and the way it's scoped is really affecting use of legal products. And it's really a broad and indirect solution to that. At the planning board meeting a week ago, on the 5th, this topic was discussed, and the planning board attorney sent us a memo summarizing some of the concerns from the planning board. One of those was the scope of the ordinance. So, my feeling here is that, we should table this, think about it more carefully, fine tune it if needed. And also, it would really be good to include the perspective of our Councilman-elect Sylvester, who is a former planning board member, and to get his take on this as well. So I'll let others speak, but I plan to make a motion to table it.
Yes, yes, that would be grandfathered in the tobacco shop. I have a bigger problem with the THC in the alcohol that's being sold than the vape shop. I personally don't want a vape or a smoke shop, but the huge signs with THC and alcohol, that I have a problem with because it's very strong. Yeah, I would agree to table this as well, to have it rewritten, because I think it's a little broader than it needs to be. No, we don't need, and we need to include something along with mushrooms, which I think the state is trying to pass, but that's the last thing we need. I would agree as well.
Councilman Scott.
Being someone that's in recovery, I can tell you that, if you smoke enough of that hemp, you can get high. Okay. But I just, and that's why I'm kind of totally against this, right? Totally against the cannabis, totally against the hemp. There's no need to sell this in this town. There's 11 stores within 2 miles of this town. Plus, you can have it delivered. There's signs all over now to get it delivered. I don't know what the feeling is, the emotion is, but when I walk into, and I don't do it often, or I don't do it at all, but when I walk into a store that's got bongs and pipes and glass pipes in the window, and it's in Sparta, I don't think it has to be here in Sparta. Because these bongs, they say, yes, why are you selling these? Well, a lot of our people smoke tobacco and they use these, and we know that that's not true. Okay, and the same thing for the glass pipes. The glass pipes are bringing it up to another level. Okay, because the glass pipes are not pot, not tobacco, but it's a higher drug, right? It's crystal meth, it's crack cocaine, it's stuff like that. That doesn't need to be sold in this town. If you need to get it, you go to the Exxon station in the island on the way out down 15. You can get your glass pipes there. I don't go to that store anymore. I don't go to that gas station anymore because I don't like seeing that. And I would just like to keep Sparta the wonderful place it is. Obviously, the cigars, I think we should have a cutout for that. We have to examine this a little deeper. But, I believe that anything that has THC in it at any level doesn't need to be sold in this town. Thank you.
Just a reaction, Mark, I understand your point of view. This has nothing to do with cannabis products that are legal or illegal to get people high.
No, but if they have bongs and whatnot,
Well, this doesn't say you can't sell a glass pipe or bong, whatever.
no, maybe it should.
Doesn't.
Well, I think, to cover that, if you don't have the use in the first place, you're not going to have the paraphernalia related to the use. So it would take care of that. So that, but I don't think we're going to get down to the level of passing an ordinance allowing a use and then dictating the wares that particular use is allowed to sell. That's within the confines of the business owner. So paraphernalia that we may have problems with wouldn't be sold because the business use wouldn't be there in the first place. So I think that would take care of that. But I think I've explained sort of why, the genesis of this, that it really, had to do with the type of use that had unfortunately attracted a lot of, illegal distribution of controlled one substances. And so that was really it. But I think there was a very fair point that that was not the issue with respect to the cigar lounge. It wasn't. And so there may, I would think, I think other people have articulated that I do think it probably makes sense to try to figure out how we can carve that out. So these folks, again, even though they would be entitled to continue to operate it, even if we pass this under a pre-existing non-conforming use, and then you can get a certificate, right? Am I right? That you can get a certificate that you are a pre-existing non-conforming use. So if Casa Tobacco wanted to sell to, say, J&R Tobacco and become the J&R Tobacco Cigar Lounge, they would be able to do so. Is that right?
That's correct. Under
But I think what this would do is future cigar lounges would probably have a lot more difficulty under if this ordinance was passed. But I think having, heard the articulation of the folks, that we may be sweeping in something that wasn't the problem in the first place.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this.
May I have a second to table ordinance 2519?
I'll second that.
All right, may I have a roll call on the motion to table ordinance 2519?
Councilman Scott.
Yes.
Councilman Bometti.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so ordinance 2519 has been tabled, and we will, and the gentleman who spoke, if you, feel free to send us a letter, kind of like what we encouraged on the bet thing, you're pertinent, and others too. But obviously, I think that's something that we can take into consideration. And we look forward to your input, Councilman-elect Sylvester, as well. Okay. We'll let everyone file out.
Can't smoke 'em.
As we speak.
Now I know.
Okay, we're now up to the second public comment period, and this is limited to the resolutions. And so if you have a public comment that you'd like to make to the resolutions that are identified in the agenda, please come forward and please be mindful of our 5-minute limit.
I think it's Resolution 9-5. Election Transparency Act Law. On the paragraph beginning with "now therefore be it resolved," it says Township authorized the QPA, Qualified Purchasing Agent, to award window contracts, then has in compliance with pay-to-play regulations. I don't see the connection there. Pay-to-play is different. If you just simply ended a sentence with award window contracts, that's fine. But
The pay-to-play threshold, Jerry, is 17.5. That's why it's referred to it. And that-
Well, yeah, but you already said it above it, it says, in the very first whereas, or second, I'm sorry, it says 17.5, and then you clarify that with the increased bid threshold for municipalities with a QPA to 53,000. That says it all. What does, pay-to-play is different.
No, this is allowing the QPA to award the contracts between the window, that's why we call it the window contract.
Correct.
Between the pay-to-play threshold, which is 17.5, and the QPA bidding threshold of 53,000.
Correct.
Right.
Pay to play. That's different.
Well, it is different, but it establishes the window of 17.5. At
But you already
17.5, you have to
established
get
that.
pay to play.
I just think it's redundant. I think it should just be taken out of there. You already established the windows and defined it. That's it.
All right. Well,
It's that
we-
simple.
We could take that under consideration. I
Okay.
don't think it hurts the resolution at all.
Well, it doesn't add. It's just
Okay.
confusing. It's verbiage.
Okay. Jenny Derek's tap into Sparta. So Resolution 9.6 is only here. It's not online. So I didn't know about it until 3 minutes ago when somebody texts me and says, why is 9.6 on the agenda? This has to do with the land swap. But here it is. No discussion so far that this was added, but so be it. This land, the purpose of this resolution is to allow for the discussion for the establishment of a contract and the development of the deed restrictions for this land. Is that correct? And then does this go forward? Because you're saying, page 9, the top whereas, proposes to construct a 10-foot wide recreational walking path. Does this land transfer happen even if the boardwalk is not created? Can this transfer stand alone is one of my questions. Have all of the survey results been done, been taken, or does this allow for those to happen? Do the deed restrictions that are going to be created have the opportunity to be reviewed? I asked this question before, by the council members and the public? And is there going to be another vote prior to that so the community knows that this is happening?
Yeah, yes, as to, I heard your questions. It's yes as to all of those questions.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I think that's it.
Welcome.
Any other member of the public wishing to be heard on the resolutions?
I have another question. At the last meeting, there were a lot of concerns about property lines. Has that been addressed yet? And also, Beth Broderick, North Shore. Also, there were questions, I think there's going to be follow-up with Mr. Dykstra, but I'm not really sure. So I just want to make sure that was done. And there were an awful lot of questions from the residents in that area who are directly affected. Have all of their concerns been addressed, or are members of council still working that out with the appropriate people like the surveyors and the residents? Because it just seems like this is being kind of rushed, and there was a lot of confusion about whether this would be on the agenda tonight or not. And it just doesn't seem fair that people didn't have it on the agenda, made other plans, are not here, and are going to be directly affected by this, and, people possibly walking through. And then also there was a conversation about the path going from the high school to the middle school. I don't see any of that in there. So is this a recreational path, or is it for a safe way for the kids to go back and forth between the schools? Because it just seems like there's a whole lot of macaroni being thrown at the wall, and some of it's sticking and some not. And I don't think anybody really knows what is trying to be accomplished here. It just seems a little confusing, and not everything is there.
Yeah, so we had, I don't think you attended, we had,
I was there.
on October 30th.
The environmental one, no, because I'm
On
not allowed on
October-
the committee.
On
So
October 30th, we opened up the Trails meeting to the public. We streamed it. We spent over 2 hours. A lot of the affected property owners were there. Mr. Dykstra was there with the actual what the conveyance property and the conveyed to us. And at that point, I think we all sort of left the meeting feeling like we had answered a lot of the questions. Also, obviously with the caveat that we will do a better job with communicating along the way. So I think that we accomplished that on October 30th. As to why it took a while to get this up, there was, again, There were some, last minute kind of edits to make sure it's clear that I think a lot of the confusion lay with, this is simply allowing us to begin the negotiation process with this. It's not the conveyance legally doesn't happen until it's signed. And then, as Attorney Dash said, that there will be a separate, council will be read into that, the public will be read into that at that time, but we're just not there yet.
Okay, the reason I asked is one of the people that was at the last town council meeting, she said that she's still working with her surveyor and that there's still a lot up in the air. She couldn't be here tonight because she had other plans, but she also pointed out that it wasn't on the agenda for, I guess, whatever you just said. But it still seems like there's still a lot of questions up in the air.
Well, I think what the concern was, and that was articulated at the October 30th meeting, was that we aren't at we will get this, the survey, just because folks show up in your yard with their equipment, that ain't the survey. They have to take that information and then turn it into an actual, we're not there yet. We haven't finished that part. When we are finished that part, that will be shared with the affected landowner who can say, okay, your boundaries, as you said it, township, are this. Our boundaries, as we say it, are this. That's going to happen as part of the survey process, getting to the contract deed process. And so this is simply, we can't get there until we pass this resolution. So there'll never be a survey if we don't ever get authorization to start that process.
Okay, then my other question is, and maybe I missed it, I did not go to that meeting because I do other stuff besides town council meetings, and planning and zoning, I do other things, believe it or not. Is this sorry, Margie, you confused me. Is this a trail, a recreational trail, or is this something for the middle school kids to get to the high school for play practice, or the big kids to go tutor the little kids? Like, I'm trying to get clarification on what your your desired end result is, Neil.
Sure, I understand, and I think that, I was chided at the October 30th meeting, probably fairly, of referring to this resolution, just what's happening here, as the middle school to high school trail. It's a component. It's part of it. It's not the entire trail itself. This is a particular component that we need in order to do the overall project. But then the point I wanted to make at that particular meeting was, let's say even if we can't do the middle school to high school trail, the other segments of it just aren't feasible. Then why would we do this, right? That's probably the question. Why would we? I'll tell you why we do it, right? And that was, we are taking 27 acres that right now are under very little deed restrictions. I think, Mr. Dykstra did a very good job of pointing out what are the deeds to that property that we have. There's no restrictions on use there. What this happens if the conveyed property gets to the New Jersey Land Trust, it is now under their protection, and they have a host of restrictions, in addition to restrictions that we can ask them for if we're ever allowed to get to that step. So at the end of the day, what we would be doing, even if that trail doesn't happen, we've taken 27 acres and preserved it as open space. Open space is the #1 priority as identified in the surveys over and over again. And so I think it's a heck of an accomplishment, even if we never build this trail, that we've just preserved 27 acres of open space, which the public has repeatedly identified as their #1 priority. So it's kind of a long-winded answer to the question, but again, this is simply one component of the trail, not the entire trail itself.
Okay.
Joanne Scally, Sparta. I listened to the meeting online, and Mr. Dykstra said that the second segment is a bigger fish to fry. Then why not go with the bigger fish to fry rather than give our acreage away? And in the master plan that you're doing now, you can preserve that land. So why not go that way? And Sparta still owns it and it's still preserved. And my second question is that trail, they spoke about it. It's leading from a playground to a school to a school. So we'll have strangers walking from our playground, and we'll have strangers parking at Station Park, and it's already hard to park there. Then it'll be going to our schools, which you want to protect. then I don't know where it's going to loop around. But we want to protect our schools. We don't want strangers walking into the grounds. Who knows what they're going to do? We had so many school tragedies across the country. This is not right. We don't need a trail. Who wants strangers walking where their kids are playing? We don't want people parking, because once it's within the state, they advertise it, so people will come to go birding. They'll be parking up on the streets up there. People come to walk that trail. They'll be parking at Station Park. They'll be parking along West Mountain. It's dangerous. We don't need it there. We don't want strangers walking to our schools or our playground. And then they spoke about who's going to monitor it during school hours, and they talked about maybe they'll put restrictions from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. Then it should be a BOE project, not a town project. Why are we taking this on? If the Board of Ed needs it, let them do it. I don't see the need for it. It's wrong. We should protect our land and keep it within Sparta. We do not need a trail there. I don't know why you're pushing this trail, and even if it's a bigger fish to fry, go with that end first, and don't give our acreage away, and then we can't go in that other loop, and we gave our land away. And then the land can be hunted, it can be everything. People, like I said, go birding, whatever else they do. If there's hunters out there, they could be chasing down a wounded deer. We don't need this in town. We want to protect it within our town. Sparta is the best stewardship of that land. Put it in the master plan, get it protected. And another thing is about, it wasn't online. A lot of people would have wanted to come here tonight. So is it legal to do this if it wasn't notified to people that it's here? I suggest you table this and let people that are interested in this have a chance to come and speak. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to be heard on the resolutions?
Excuse me, Mr. Dash, would you mind kind of giving an overview, just a quick, of the difference of it being protected by the land trust as opposed to Sparta? And it would be, which would have more restrictions, and if and when it does happen, that it's notified, everybody is notified, and the process?
Yeah,
Please.
I'd be happy to. So the parcel of land that is between West Mountain Road and Station Park, that is the land that the township would be acquiring from the Lands Trust that's currently owned by the Lands Trust. In exchange for that, we are giving certain parcels to the Lands Trust. By virtue of that conveyance, the Lands Trust's mission is to preserve in perpetuity the lands that they own. The distinction is that simply by virtue of a township designating lands as environmentally sensitive, open space, protected, those terms, to those who have taken the time to study the history of Sparta, have at times little significance. The ultimate assurance in preserving land is when the Lands Trust holds the land, because it's their mission and their charter to preserve in perpetuity. The idea that a land behind your house may be preserved, may not, that may be today, but the history of the township has shown that there are environmentally sensitive lands, there are wetlands, there are quote-unquote open space. That is subject to change. It is subject to development. It's not as easy to develop naturally as lands that may be zoned for development, zoned for commercial or residential development. But it is not an absolute prohibition just by virtue of a land being designated as open space or environmentally sensitive or wetlands. Wetlands can be developed on. Wetlands can be filled in. By virtue of transferring these parcels into the hands of the Lands Trust, we have two main benefits. The land stays protected in perpetuity, and we are able to control the types of activities that happen on the land by virtue of deed restrictions. as the land surveyor for the township, Doug Dykstra, indicated at the last meeting, the current deeds to these properties owned by the township do not have protections by way of a deed restriction. The history of the township has shown that absent deed restrictions written into a conveyance document, negotiations between the developers and those in council government who want to see protected land, such as, for example, our parks. Station Park is owned by the township. There is nothing preventing the township from developing Station Park. Now, it may not be, it would obviously shock the conscience to do so, but legally, there's nothing preventing the township from taking a parkland and developing it. By virtue of placing these parcels into the hands of the Lands Trust, we are protecting in perpetuity with the restrictions that we would like to see from the lessons of history that we have seen, by preventing the logging, by preventing the hunting. Right? We are adding more protection to the stewardship of the Lands Trust, who would have it posted and preserved, than we are at the current stage. I believe that this would be an enhancement of the vast majority of the township, who has demonstrated through their survey results of the master plan that they want to see land protected. They want to see the town protected in perpetuity. And so, a long way of saying, this is a benefit to those who believe in protecting rural Sparta in perpetuity. Thank you.
And when we do, if we do, we can put the amount of restrictions in that deed.
Correct. We can negotiate, we can propose any negotiation that is reasonable and within the charter of the Lands Trust to provide for. And not only will the council have an opportunity to see the deeds, any document that's not privileged, whether it be pertaining to this matter or any other matter, is subject to the Open Public Records Act. The government is one of transparency. Any document you want to obtain can be obtained at any time within 7 days. So there will be the utmost transparency with respect to every aspect of this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're not at voting on that one yet. Any other member of the public wishing to be heard on any other resolutions? Okay, so we'll go to, I'm going to try to handle some of these together as I usually do. I would like a motion to approve Resolution 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, and 9-4. 9-1 through 3 are dealing with the cancellation tax. 9-4 is dealing with the extension of an interlocal services agreement between the Township of Sparta and the Sparta Township Board of Education for a school resource officer. So the motion, may I have a motion to approve resolutions 9-1 through 9-4?
I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 9-1 through 9-4 inclusive.
I'll second that.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving resolutions 9-1 through 9-4, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Is there a particular ordinance that you are opposed to, a resolution, sorry?
Well, yeah, to be candid, I agree with you, Mayor Clark, that these deeds, the deeds that Mr. Dykstra showed us.
Yeah, we're not voting on that yet.
What are we voting?
1 to 4.
Yeah.
1 to 4.
Yeah, this is just the tax, the cancellation of the tax.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm in
Yeah.
another planet.
There'll be another,
All right,
yeah, okay,
I'm good.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so just so we're clear, we have 4 ayes for resolutions 9-1 through 9-4. And we'll take 9-5 and 9-6 separately. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-5, which is a resolution of the Township of Sparta authorizing the township's qualified purchasing agent to award window contracts below the bid threshold of $53,000.
Yes, I will second that.
Right, all those in favor say aye.
Can I ask you a
Aye.
question here?
Okay.
What was Mr. Murphy talking about when he was talking about the window between 17,000 and 53,000?
I believe former council Mayor Murphy was saying that there was some overly verbal language implemented in there, and he's referring to the 17.5 mark. It's also considered that that's the threshold in which we refer to it as a pay-to-play threshold, where we would have to collect information from vendors on the pay-to-play. But in this instance, it doesn't necessarily have to be stated as pay-to-play. You don't need the pay-to-play bracket in there. It's just that a lot of purchasing agents and people, when we talk about 17.5, they'll refer to it as the pay-to-play threshold. All right, and then the window is that threshold, and our approved, having the QPA allows us the threshold of 53,000. So that creates the window of this contract, this resolution, which allows the QPA now to award the contract to the vendors within that area. And it doesn't have to come in front of the council every time we do an expenditure in that window.
And just to clarify, it doesn't loosen up any protection for us from applying or looking into pay for play. That happens anyway. This is just saying that the QPA will do this.
Yes.
Absolutely. And as long as it's in compliance with that, he or she can proceed.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Sure.
Excuse me, Mayor, who gave the motion for 9-5? 'Cause I heard Deputy Mayor Murphy second it. I didn't hear who gave the motion.
Okay.
Oh.
If you didn't, well, then we'll start again. May I have a motion to approve?
Thank you.
Resolutions 9-1 through
No,
9-5?
No, 9-5 is the
Five,
one.
sorry.
That's right.
May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-5?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 9-5.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 9-5 has passed. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-6, which is entitled Resolution of the Township of Sparta, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, supporting and authorizing contract negotiations between the township and the New Jersey Natural Lands Trust, the trust for the acquisition of certain township lands by the trust in exchange for the conveyance of certain lands by the trust to the township. So may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-6 as read?
I'd like to make a motion to table this resolution right now, so we can notice the public, and the interested parties can show up, and we can do any fine tuning that's on this. I mean, I agree with you, Mayor Clark, that the deeds that Mr. Dykstra showed us the other day have absolutely no limitations and no protections. And as Mr. Dash said, you know, by putting it into the land trust, we would be getting more protection. I read those deeds that were proposed to go to the land trust, and they didn't have anything, and I know that was a sample deed, okay? But they didn't have anything in there that talked about stop the chop or the taking down of wood. Sure, go ahead, please help me out.
Yeah, that would be part of the negotiations. We would put those terms into that deed as long, and any additional restrictions you'd like.
Okay.
Stop the chop, clear cutting, anything aside from normal forest management practices would be prohibited.
In other words,
And
that
I
happens
also
later.
talked, and
Yeah,
one more
happens.
point. I did talk to Jen, the one who was worried about the ribbons in her yard, and we have an ongoing conversation. I sent her copies of maps. She's out of town. I'm going to meet with her personally next week and go over it again, but I sent her aerial images with all the dimensions and explained where the ribbons were that she found in the field versus what's on the map. She's in a good place. We're both in a good place.
Thank you.
There was already an opportunity to speak on the resolution. But he was clarifying a question of the council.
Well, he's involved with he's a professional that's working on this right now.
Yeah, he's not, so.
Okay, so the reason I want to table this, because I would, rather than have it to go down to defeat, and then we are nowhere, I just think we should go through this, give some notice to the public, talk about giving notice to all adjacent property owners to the subject properties that are going to be conveyed. And, because that has not been done. And there are people that aren't watching these shows or out of town or something, and they should be noticed. And then put in language such that, the Township of Sparta will have public review of the deed restrictions and another vote on the deed restrictions of, some notice of 2 weeks or 30 days. They should have, the public should be notified as to what we are going to have in the conveyance. And they should have a right to speak on that.
Well, I think they will by operation of law. Yeah, there's no need to build
There,
it in.
there'll be an ordinance. Anytime a township has to convey land, it has to be done by ordinance. An ordinance, just as we have tonight, would be noticed on a first introduction, and then there would be a hearing at which there would be documents on the ledge that would allow for the public to view what the council is voting on.
Yeah, and again, I think to repeat over and over again, this is not a conveyance of land. This is not a conveyance of land. This is not a conveyance of land. This is a resolution to allow discussions involving the conveyance of land. All affected property owners, at the time that we would get down to the contract, we will give them an opportunity. I understand, and that's exactly what we reiterated in our October 30th meeting, where we had more people there than we had at this meeting, most of which were made up of the property owners. And we explained that this is not a conveyance of land right now. This is simply to allow the negotiations. And as been demonstrated by Mr. Dykstra, he's already in discussions with one of the affected property owners to assure her. And then at the time that we have the actual contract, the public will be able to see it. And like I said, they will be able to see what are the mets and bounds that we're talking about here. And they can compare that to if they have their own survey, and they can bring it to our attention. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for that. But, we tabled this already. We already had a over 2 hour meeting on this. I think, this is, again, simply to allow the process to start. Because if we don't do this, the process isn't starting. No work is going to be done on this trail and probably not any other ones until we can get this done.
Okay, with all due respect, the first thing I thought about when this came up was that if we pass this, we're just literally one signature away from conveying the land.
We're not.
Not at all.
We're not.
We're not.
I think Councilman Scott just has, despite a prior meeting, despite our October 30th, is still not understanding what we're doing here. What are we doing here? We're simply authorizing us to begin the process of engaging in negotiations with the New Jersey Land Trust. No land is being conveyed, no contract. The terms of the contract is a totally separate issue. We can't even get there without passing this resolution. And I think that we've made it clear that when those negotiations start, of course, council will be involved, because we will have to talk probably in executive session, because it involves an actual contract, about what the terms of the contract will be. But once we have agreed on that, the public will see it, and they can look and say, hey, I don't like that provision in that contract. Can you take it out? We do this all the time. This is what ordinance do. It goes through the same ordinance process. But we're just simply wanting to be able to start that, and we just can't until we get this resolution. There'll be, to get the substance of what we do, that's going to come up when we actually get through the conveyance process, meaning what's the contract look like?
And
Mark-
everybody will have a chance to look at it. This just starts the process. And everybody will have a chance to comment on it, it is for the public to use. It's just part of the trails that we'll be able to recreationally enjoy.
Yeah, I would just add too, Mark, I agree with, this will have to go through a lot of hurdles, I know in my mind at least, down the road, to make sure it's legit and make sure it's protecting that land properly, which I feel is important. I would share your concern about getting more public input right now, but I feel comfortable knowing that the Trails Committee had a separate public meeting just recently for 2 hours. I'm not sure if you were there. I couldn't make it, but, and this was, yeah, so I feel more comfortable that dialogue is ongoing and that there was a forum there for people to express additional ideas and questions. And that needs to continue because, if this is shady down the road, then I'm not going to, be there either for it.
So just to be crystal clear, if the negotiations are worked out, there would be a reading of that, and then the next meeting, there could be a vote to convey.
Correct.
That would be 2 meetings. Okay, I'm in. All right, thank you.
And nothing is being.
Now I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Anyone else from the dais about this?
Excuse me, Councilman Scott, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Yes.
The motion to table is withdrawn, so we can take a vote. So all those in favor, we've had did we have a first and second? I can't-
Why don't you just do it again?
Okay,
the
sure.
first- And then do a roll
May I
call
have a
vote.
motion to approve Resolution 9-6?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hallelujah. Thank you. This is a first thing, and I look forward to actually being able to execute on what the public has told us time and time again they want. So look forward to more discussion about this, and like I said, we will be bringing the public along. We are having a Trails meeting to discuss better ways to communicate about the trail and other trail efforts, so the public doesn't view that they've been blindsided.
That's a good idea.
Yep. All right, so we are done with the resolutions. We are now up to council liaison updates, and I will start to my far left.
Do you have any council liaison?
I have no report.
Okay?
I don't either, since we haven't had any meetings. And I haven't been to them. The one we did have, Rev 250?
Yeah, I went to that, so
Yeah.
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
So a couple updates. One, Business Development Committee, we met on October 23rd and reviewed and fine-tuned some of the ideas raised in prior meetings. And also, we're planning for our next meeting, which happens to be the last one of the year in early December, of hosting several members of the business community to share their ideas, their experiences regarding how the township could better support and encourage business development. So more to come on that. Second item is the Master Plan Subcommittee. On October 29th, the subcommittee held a large-scale public input meeting at the high school. It involved 6 of the subcommittee members, some people, township employees such as Dory, Raisha, Jim, staff from our professional planners organization to help facilitate it, and about 50 participants from the public. It was a great, really informative session. We broke out into 5 groups. We talked for 45 minutes or an hour each, going through different topics, asking for ideas, suggestions, things that haven't gone right, but especially thinking more 10, 15 years down the road, maybe even 20, about what Sparta should be like and look like. We covered topics including things like housing and open space and business development and community amenities and traffic, et cetera. So it was really informative. We were happy how it turned out. We did receive some great input. All that feedback's being consolidated now. It'll be added to the input that we got from the different focus groups we had. So with first responders and the police and the school board of ed and Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to consolidate those feedback items and the ideas that we received. It'll be presented at a future planning board meeting, perhaps as early as the first one in December. But this is just, again, a step further in the process now, as we are still collecting data and input, but we're getting near the end of that where we can actually turn it into more of a strategic plan. Oh, that's it. Thank you.
So we did have a Rev 250 meeting on November 3rd. At that meeting, we wanted to narrow down what are the events that are actually happening, what are the events that are more than likely going to happen. I can tell you the first event that's actually happening is January 11th at 2026, 12:30 to 2:30 at Crow's. It will be the Tavern Talks. I think I've mentioned that before. These are reenactors who will be at Crow's. There'll be food involved. There'll be tickets sold for that because we have to limit it to, I think, 30 people is what Crow's wants us. But these are, the Tavern Talks have been happening all over the state. A lot of this is done by, and we're lucky to have as one of our members, Ben Thies, who's an award-winning reenactor. So he was able to get us a Tavern Talk. So that one's actually happening. February, we're looking to have a harpsichordist who will play, colonial era music. We just got to find a venue for that, but I think we're getting close to that. In March, there will be a Martha Washington reenactor. This will likely be at the Sparta Presbyterian Church. And, obviously the July 4th parade, other things that we're, getting close but don't have a definitive, has to do with, and Flag Day, there'll be a separate event related to that. Also, we learned that the state Rev 250, they have a traveling exhibit to celebrate the 250th anniversary that the Rev 250 has, and they selected Sparta to be one of the hosts of this traveling exhibit because we have a historical society. We've been one of the more active townships in the entire state on this issue, so they selected us. And I think that will probably be at the Historical Society sometime near the end of April, between April and like May 12th. But again, I think that's a recognition of how Sparta is really taking the lead on Rev 250, and also to our Historical Society, who does a fantastic job. And so we will be, and currently we're working on communication, and we'll use the same method that the Historical Society usually uses when they publicize their events. We're going to use that for Rev 250, and so we are working on that. But again, many kudos to that committee who have been doing a lot of good work. Trails, we've already spoke about. We had an over 2-hour meeting just on the issue of this particular resolution. And we have a meeting coming up where we're going to talk about ways that we can communicate so the folks in the public feel like they're being informed. And so that's probably going to happen in next month sometime, and we'll work on that. I did attend the Sussex County Community College had the president's reception. I went to that. It was nice. I ran into former Councilwoman Quinn, who gave me a tour of all the various things that the Sussex County Community College is doing, and it's really remarkable. All the classes that they have, between EMS training to culinary, and so it's a really impressive what they offer. And so I encourage people to support our community college. They do a lot of good work. So that was and then next thing I attended was the mayor's breakfast that the county puts on. That was held in Vernon. I think I alluded to a discussion that I had with one of the Vernon mayor about how they've done their beautification committee, and how they have gotten grants and other ways to support that. That was helpful. But one thing that came very clear in that, every township right now, especially in Sussex County, is getting crushed with healthcare costs. That's not just Sparta. That's everyone, and they're all kind of scratching their heads, particularly for the towns that participate in part of the state health plan that is now insolvent. So these issues about budget and the driver of healthcare costs, increasing the budget is not specific to Sparta. It's all over Sussex County, and so we're all going to have to be faced. I know that Byram's having a particular issue, and they may face a different type of tax increase just because they're budgetary constraints. So we're all dealing with that, but everyone was kind of unanimous that it's healthcare costs that are crushing us. One point that was brought out was the towns have a very difficult time trying to find employees for different departments, say like DPW. I know there's folks in Stillwater, it's hard to find them, or if they come, they don't stay too long, they go to another township. And it's interesting, there's synergy there, because when I talked to Councilwoman Quinn, I thought she had a very good idea about offering at the Sussex Community College training in these various departments that municipalities have. So we have a built-in workforce, right? If we have people coming out of the community college already trained in what the DPW does, that's a pipeline. I thought that was an excellent idea. I hope she pursues it, because I think that it's tough finding people qualified to do some of these jobs here. And so I thought that was a very good idea. And so with film, we don't have a meeting until next week, Thursday, after the league. So that is it for council liaison updates for me. And rec is going to be in 2 weeks. Okay. Any unfinished or new business by anyone?
I just would like to congratulate Councilman-elect Mike Sylvester and candidate Molly Wildsmith for their desire for public service. It is rare and it takes a lot, and for their hard-fought election campaigns.
Okay. Anyone else with new or unfinished business?
No.
Okay, I don't have any either. None for me. We're now at the final open to the public session. So anyone wishing to be heard or public comment, please step forward and be mindful of the 5-minute limit.
Joanne Scally. I always thought everything had to be online to let people know what's on the agenda, and I just want to know if it's going to become common practice with this council to have things that were not online so that people can become aware of them and come to the meeting if they're interested. Is it going to become common practice? And another question is, Mr. Scott brought up that people should be noticed within 200 feet. I really think you should do that. That's a good thing. But a lot of people don't come to the meetings. A lot of the elderly are not online. I think people should be noticed, certified noticed, sent out to people within 200 feet of the entire space. And I do think it was wrong to go ahead and pass that. I know you're anxious to get it done, but it wasn't online and people would like to be here. So I'm just wondering, again, asking you a question. Is this going to become common practice? But I never remember it happening. I don't know if it's even legal, but I never remember this happening in the past. Is it going to become common practice? Will it happen again? Or can you promise it will never happen again? But you just said, Neil, that you want to keep the public informed. Well, obviously you did not keep the public informed tonight. So that is my question. I don't know if anyone wants to answer it.
Well, I can tell you that it was completely inadvertent, and, don't ascribe to malice what is really better explained by simple oversight, or I don't know why it didn't get earlier than it did.
And why didn't
That
you
was not
table
the
it?
intent, and so I will take umbrage that, implied in your questions, there's some intent to try to,
No, I asked you, will this be common practice? I
No,
didn't
well, if
accuse
it's
you of
inadvertent
anything.
and it's an oversight, by virtue of it being that, it can't be a common practice.
Then
The
why-
answer is no.
Why didn't you table it then?
Because we explained why we
It'd been
didn't table
tabled
it.
it because it was inadvertent, then table it. Okay, thank you.
Hey, guys, Ron Day again. So listening to the discussion tonight about the land swap, and is it protected, is it not protected? It may be a wrongful misunderstanding, but I had thought that the land in the trust is protected by Sparta, by the Sparta, and controlled by the Sparta Town Council. And by doing that, it limits the use to Sparta residents. My understanding is when it goes to the state, we lose that control. And now the state, so for instance, if we gave them a ball field, Sparta can't control who plays on that field anymore. The state controls it. So I just want to make sure is it really true that it's not protected? I just always had the sense that it was. And you all up there are the stewards to make sure that nothing happens. And then there's an ordinance that, take a look at it if you could before, we really go into in-depth discussion. It's 2-61.4. And what that talks about is when you do a land swap from the trust, you have to gain land that's of equal size, value, and comparable to the trust. So maybe I'm misreading that, but I would like to have everyone's take on that, before we move forward. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Sorry, I said I didn't have anything. Jenny Derricks, but I lied. The land, Jim, that is being exchanged into the Green Acres, does that require, and this came up in your comments, does that require that we enter into a Rossi?
No.
Is the land itself going to be considered or have the same restrictions as a Rossi would?
Well, it'll be under the ownership of Green Acres, and so it's not related to the Rossi.
Okay.
We do not have
So
a
there's
Rossi
no
because we
expectation.
haven't entered into any of that agreement at all. So they're two different concepts.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because you had made something in your comments made me think that. Thanks.
Sure.
I'm still on North Shore and I didn't change my name. When is, Jim and Margie, you might know, when's the next council liaison meeting for Lake Mohawk? I know they've been busy with their,
Hasn't been established.
I know they're tied up with their annual meeting prep because that's on Sunday.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is you guys know how neurotic I am with the traffic safety concern and issues with North Shore. Victoria said that a meeting earlier in the year somewhere, I think it was like June, maybe July, that the concern that I brought up to council and to liaisons and also to Lake Mohawk regarding North Shore and the overwhelming amount of traffic on there. I was told that maybe it would be discussed at the end of the year. Then Victoria said, no, not until next year because there's too much other more important stuff going on, like the water main, which on West Shore, which is done. The bridge, I think they're wrapping up so that they can get the construction done. I think they finally got the stuff with the DEP. What I'm trying to find out is, will the concerns that I've been bringing up for the last 4 or 5 years, is there any realistic expectation that it will be discussed in the first half of the year with the town and Lake Mohawk? I know that there's been a lot going on at the town level and also with Lake Mohawk, so I understand that that I'm not the center of attention all the time or ever. But sorry, I just want to make sure that that's still on the radar and it will be addressed in the first half of the year. Victoria told me, oh, I have no idea, and that's up to the board president. So I just want to know if you have any information on that. That's question one. And question number two is vacancies on planning and zoning. At the end of the year, there are, I think, 3, maybe 4 vacancies that will be on zoning, and I believe 4 on planning. Is there a plan for appointing people to planning and zoning if you already have vacancies? And we'll have more vacancies coming up 12/31 of 2025. Because 4 vacancies on one of those boards is pretty big, considering the fact that there aren't very many people on them. And it's been a struggle since the beginning of August to come to an agreement on how to fill those and other vacancies. So I just want to make sure that that's on the radar so that we don't go halfway through with vacancies and relying on alternates to be voting on stuff just to make sure there's a quorum, or that we don't run into a situation like we did with zoning where we didn't have enough people for a quorum and stuff had to be punted to November from October.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth. I think that when Councilman Sylvester joins us, many of these issues will be cleared up.
And I'm kind of tag on with the traffic. I was at that meeting at the high school, and the biggest concern that we kept hearing, to the point that you guys had a traffic specialist, is traffic is one of the top 2 concerns in Sparta. If The planning board is working on the master plan. Why are we not addressing a concern that affects 40% of Sparta and is also a private community? It's been on the radar, not just me, but my neighbors and other members outside of North Shore and South Shore have been complaining about the traffic. So wouldn't it make sense that it's timely to address this and tie it in with the master plan and the West Shore Bridge? Because West Shore traffic is going to be shut down for, I think, 3 months once they start it.
When the bridge,
The West Shore
bridge.
Trail by not the island, but the one by the playground, because if we're training people to not cut through North Shore in the middle of the street, like they did yesterday. I'm okay with the Coke truck, not the Pepsi truck, but the Coke truck is okay, because I need my Sprite. But it just seems like it's the perfect storm where you have the West Shore Trail Bridge coming out and the master plan, and meet at monthly or consistent meetings with Lake Mohawk and the town. Why are we not addressing this when you guys are redoing the master plan and are focusing on traffic and have a traffic expert that spoke at the meeting at the high school? Why are we not doing this now?
Are you raising it, wait, hold on.
I'm just looking for what progress we have, and is there a plan to address?
Outside the master plan process, or do you want it part of the
It
master
just,
plan
it just
process?
seems, I've been speaking with Celeste about traffic
Okay.
concerns, and she knows that I've been in touch with the county and the town and Lake Mohawk regarding traffic studies and why traffic was rerouted or reconfigured on Sparta Avenue.
What I'm trying to get at is,
What I'm trying to get at, Neil, is where are we? Are we ever going to address this? Or is it just going to keep getting pushed because there are a lot of other things going on? And I realize that my street is not number one, but I just want to know if there's a possibility to revisit this, since they're addressing a traffic plan for when the bridge is out and the master plan is coming up, and one of the roads is a major feeder into North Shore and South Shore and West Shore. So can we bring this up, or at least revisit with Lake Mohawk, instead of, hearing from Lake Mohawk? Oh, well, gee, we all agreed maybe by the end of the year, and no, we said it wasn't going to happen this year because there's too much other stuff going on. And, oh, we have
Okay,
no idea. We don't know what the
we get
agenda,
it.
what's going to be on.
Time has expired. I think what I'm trying to get at is, my understanding isn't part of the master plan process traffic and traffic circulation. And then as part of that, it would make sense that, the concerns that Ms. Broderick has should be addressed in that forum. I understand she's concerned that's just punting it, but I think we're trying to put it in where it belongs, into the bucket it belongs, which is the master plan process, and not starting to kind of pick out, well, we're going to do traffic, master plan's going to handle traffic, but we're going to pick out this particular one, North Shore, and you guys can do traffic, but don't talk about North Shore. We're going to handle that separately. So my point is, I think by addressing it with the master plan process, addressing it with the planning board as you already have, I think you're doing a great job of making sure this issue stays first and foremost.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that everybody's participating, because all but 8 of our roads in Lake Mohawk are considered private roads. And the gentleman that was at the meeting at the high school didn't realize that there were that many private roads connecting. So he looked at me, and because I asked, well, how is it going to affect, Lake Mohawk, because Lake Mohawk is 40% of Sparta. He goes, well, are they private? Is it private or not? Aren't they public roads? And I was like, no, all but 8 are private roads, and he had no idea.
Yeah, so Beth, thanks for your comments. I know you're out of time, but the master plan process will look at traffic and circulation specifically. And that gentleman you met who is the expert, we're still early on in the traffic part and figuring out the circulation vision. But also keep in mind that it's not going to get down to a road level, right? It's not going to, just so you know, so you're like, it's not going to say, here's our vision, here's a circulation recommendation, here's X, Y, and Z. And it's not going to go down to like a specific fix for one street's issues. And
Not through
and
the
that- we
master
have to
plan,
work
right?
with the Lake Mohawk community, right? They're going to have their, so but I think it's on the radar. I think you've heard that. So I would just
I'm
stay
sure you guys
tuned.
understand, I've been at this for going on 6 or 7 years. And Chief, you've been very patient with all of my whining and crying, complaining about the box truck in the middle of the street at 6 o'clock in the morning on an S-curve. But And I know that I can't say, well, I don't want this, like, from a town level.
I
can't-
understand, Beth, but like I've said before, it's really a disservice to our other members of the public to let you keep talking after your period, because
Okay, I'll
if
email
you do
you.
it, then we're gonna have to do it for everyone. I don't
Or
mean to
Margie,
be
if we can
rude, I
set up
really
time, then
don't.
I'd be happy to speak with you, Margie, about this, and we can go from there, since you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, thanks, Beth.
See, no one else?
Mayor, I'd like to address about the agenda,
Oh,
about the
okay,
item.
Sure.
I apologize, it was not put on. At the time I amended it for the executive session, I didn't have the resolution. There needed to be edits on it. So I apologize that I didn't put that on. I didn't amend it back again on the website. There is a notation at the bottom of all our agendas that say subject to change. So it's not common practice just to leave something off. I just wanted to, I understand. I understand. I apologize. Sorry.
Thanks, Roxanne.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. All right, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Feed a dog. Yeah, they've been like.
All right, Ron.